Welcome to Mystara for an unexpected three-parter, as just three species dominated the original topic of humanoids of the Savage Coast. Instead of a rather lopsided explanation of just those three, I've broken them down into videos of their own, threw it up for a vote, and you decided to start the year with the goat. See, I didn't expect much support from other anthro monsters, but you guys decided you wanted to hear about the bad boys of Savage Coast, the Goatmen. I'm Mr. Welch, and today we're butting some heads. The Goatmen only appeared in the Savage Coast Monstrous Compendium and have never appeared in any other supplement from either TSR or WotC that I could find. Some are in third-party books that added the Goatmen, like Pathfinder or Kobold Press, but they're from a different background. Let's be honest, sticking a head of a goat on a human and calling it a Goatman isn't the most original idea. You can't call it Ram Man because then Filmation gets to sue your pants off. I'm sure they have their own name, but it's never mentioned or explained, so you've got free reign to call them what you'd like. Physically, the Goatmen are just what they sound like. Anthropomorphic goats, cloven hooves, short, coarse hair over most of their body, and a goat's head. They're quite strong, but they rely on their dexterity instead. They have a set of horns they can use to headbutt people, and it's a favorite tactic when they attack from surprise. And they will attack from surprise. They are more intelligent than orcs, but are considered subpar in the ability compared to humans. They speak in a low guttural tone and have their own language, but each tribe has a distinct dialect, and many of the tribes can't understand each other despite speaking the same language. Goatmen are numerous, but are restricted primarily to the Black Mountains east of the city-states. They tend to avoid the cursed regions, but have been found there occasionally, complete with the red curse. When cursed, they will concentrate on acquiring Cinnabrel to the exclusion of all else, and they aren't asking. Goatmen build primitive structures, but always center their villages around a cave, used for storage, meeting halls, and emergency shelters. They don't trade with other races, but will exchange goods with other tribes, though they will take what they want if the other tribe is much weaker than them. Goatmen are spread across the region. They breed frequently and prefer to create large tribes for combat and to provide for their tribe. They're quite territorial, and two tribes will fight bitter wars over disputed claims. Villages tend to be made of stone and brick buildings, though they haven't mastered the use of mortar or similar materials. The tribes share their meals. They gather and feast as one every night. Goatmen musicians entertain them with crude instruments that create music for goatmen, but are just noise to everyone else. And there's lots of dancing. They love to dance in their goatskin pants around the ancient ruins. The meal ends when the food is gone, so the meals can take hours in times of prosperity. They quickly become a drain on their area. They will hunt down all game and tear up all food-producing plants. They have some agriculture and raise various animals, but their crops leave the area non-viable, and they let their pigs and other livestock run free. The animals then eat all the local flora they get a hold of, stripping the village and surroundings of foliage. As the meals get smaller, the tribe will start looking for other areas to relocate to. They avoid the lands of rival tribes, but won't think twice about attacking other creatures, such as goblins. They will avoid the land of the humans. Those are far too organized and offer a steady defense, even if it's just a tiny homestead. Goatmen travel light. They have few possessions and little use for coinage, as they prefer to steal what they want. When they have used up all the food in the area, the entire tribe will leave behind the ruins of their buildings and travel until they find a new location with fresh water and plenty of game. If they find another race occupying the region, they won't hesitate to attack, though only on their terms. Again, they prefer not to attack humans unless they can get away with it, as they are the most organized of the races of the area, and will not hesitate to unify against an aggressive Goatman tribe. Once they've found a new home, they will again create their primitive homes and repeat the process all over again. Despite their notorious selfish natures, Goatmen are known to work together to bring down a target. Despite Goatmen being pretty tough on their own, the race prefers to attack from ambush as much as possible. If they openly attack a target, they're either confident that their prey is a pushover, or the initial assault is a feint and the actual attack will come while the target is distracted. They prefer to use their horns to knock down opponents than pile on the prone victim. It's a solid strategy, one that they've performed multiple times in the past. The problem is it's always the same tactics. Someone who has fought off Goatmen in the past will know what to expect. Because of their unusual body type, Goatmen are fast and stealthy, but need help carrying a heavy load and staying balanced. They will almost always be armed with light one-handed weapons and rarely dual-wield or use a shield. They will never use a two-handed weapon in combat. Swinging such a large implement leaves them off balance. Armor will be crude leather or stolen metal armor. Again, nothing burdensome as it messes up their ability to sneak. They have no problems using poison, but they have a hard time acquiring it independently. They could trade for it, but they prefer to avoid dealing with other races as far as barter goes. They will use firearms if they can get them, usually from looting the corpses of their victims. Goatmen have multiple thief skills and abilities that come native to them. First and foremost is their skill at backstabbing or sneak attacking opponents. Even the youngest of their warriors will do extra damage when striking from behind. Older Goatmen will do even more damage in the form of increased backstab multipliers or more sneak attack damage dice. Only their clerics lack this ability. They also get a bonus to stealth and surprise checks and a bonus to attacking people with daggers and similar weapons. They will use ranged weapons, but prefer to close to melee to use their horns or to backstab. About 1 in 20 Goatmen have the abilities of a cleric instead of a thief. These shamans are highly valued and serve as advisors to the tribal chief. They have the skills of a 5th level cleric, and their presence makes the normally reluctant Goatmen to stay in a fight a little bit longer. They don't make the troops fearless or even brave, but the troops won't turn and run at the first sign of resistance. The shamans prefer spells that aid in Goatman raids, like Silence or Hold Person, letting the others more effectively attack the target. Chiefs are typically 5 hit dice and are the best thieves in the tribe. The average tribe consists of about 20 members, but those numbers are kept low by the constant threat of death Goatmen possess due to their nature as raiders. The chief keeps what treasure he can carry and doles out the rest to his tribe as a reward. Goatmen rarely keep more than they can physically take with them, so a chief that finds a magic sword of some power will hand over his old, less powerful sword to a lieutenant. The underling will then turn over his weapon to another to secure the loyalty, and all the way down until the last Goatman reward will discard their old weapon in favor of a new one. The reason for a Goatman's aversion to a lot of possessions is they prefer to leave an area if food becomes scarce or their enemy becomes too great. Goatmen aren't nomadic by nature, but won't hesitate to find greener pastures if it gets too hot for them. The tribes don't have a lot of warriors. They would rather flee than fight if the combat isn't on their terms. Their overuse of the land for food is a druid's worst nightmare, and that has been more than a few reprisals in the past because of it. The standard Goatmen tactic is to distract the target with a few Goatmen, and when the bait is discovered, to attack from behind with a larger force. If the raiders meet any stiff resistance, they will retreat as one and analyze the tactics used against them. They will then adjust their attack plan, set up another ambush, and try again. If that one fails, the Goatmen will retreat again, and finally wait for the target to let their guard down and attack in force. If they're driven off a third time, they will admit the target is too strong and look for weaker prey. Goatmen will never willingly throw away their lives, if at all possible. The various tribes are generally hostile to each other, but if an opportunity presents itself, or in times of great need, the tribes will ally for a single cause. They will raid a single village or attack a weaker threat in a unified strike. They will use their standard tactics of a diversion attack, and then the main body arrives and either kills the target or steals everything they can before the defenders realize the ruse. Then the tribes return to the chosen rendezvous to divide up the loot, which often results in a fight over who gets what, as Goatman tribes don't like to share with each other. The Goatmen once had their own city-state, if legends are to be believed. Deep in the Black Mountains, the ruins of the abandoned city of Balagal still stand. I believe I'm the first person to read that out loud in probably many years, if ever. Many have visited, but there's nothing there to maintain a population. The city-state of Zvornik had promised the leader of the largest tribe of the Goatmen, Gronth Mountain Walker, complete control and recognition of Balagal if the tribes can wipe out the goblins hiding in the region. The Goatmen have begun a war of extermination in the immediate area, and one that they are currently winning. This sounds nice, but both sides have no intention of honoring their agreement, and are looking at ways to take advantage of their partner when the goblins are no more. The Goatmen have already identified vulnerable human villages, and Zvornik is looking to hire mercenaries or other races to eliminate the Goatmen once the goblins are no more. Both know that the other side is going to betray them, but for now, they're content to pretend to stick with it. The Goatmen need the weapons and armor provided by Zvornik, and the city-state really needs those goblins dead. Some Goatmen have given up on tribal life to settle down in more rugged regions and serve as mercenaries or hired thugs to anybody that will have them. The Goatman reputation is well known in the savage baronies and surrounding areas. You get a sneaky mercenary who can mix it up in combat, but they're notoriously self-serving, and their ultimate loyalty is always up for auction. To keep one of them honest, you have to make them afraid of the reprisal if they cross you. This isn't a one-time warning. Eventually they will try to turn on you if the opportunity presents itself. The race's reputation for being greedy cutthroats is well deserved. Despite their primary location near Hul and the city-states, you can find them elsewhere. They make for decent villains. They have a motivation, use tactics, and aren't automatically hostile. You can buy them off rather than fight them. They prefer to be bribed than take things by force. Anything that makes their life easier without having to work for it gains their approval. They can be a surprise for the players, as they're relatively obscure as a race, not to mention their love of attacking by surprise and then fleeing once they've gotten everything they can carry. Don't overdo them, because their tactics are predictable and the party will catch on quickly. That's the Goatmen. They're mentioned once in a book that didn't even get an official release. Use their rarity as a surprise, especially in the freak show setting that the Savage Coast tends to become. Next up is part 2 of our Humanoids of the Savage Coast series with the Wormlings, which are totally not ripped-off versions of Jabba the Hutt, no matter how much these crime boss, worm-like creatures resemble Jabba the Hutt, or somehow have thieves' skills and are 40 feet long. And just ignore the woman in the chainmail bikini that he currently has chained to him. Just keep telling yourself that, and eventually you'll believe it. But until then, welcome to Newmont.